Hey everyone, Mherex here, bringing you another video. This is going to be my prize wall breakdown of the one last big time prize wall. It's the feud prize wall this weekend. So let's get in here and take a look. So a couple things jumped out to me initially. One, I don't really like the strap pricing, right? Like, I think to be honest, Beefcake with power gems, I don't think we really care about his gem damage. And Big Boss Man, move damage and gem damage, also don't think it's really a big deal. Plus, it's limited to just those. Um, there's some really good Attitude era straps on the main prize wall this month, so I'm not really a fan of those. The random era and class 150% gem damage strap is a straight crapshoot, so 20 for those, not the biggest fan. Um, Now, these ultimate affiliation straps, Attitude Powerhouse, Modern Powerhouse, those can be really good if you don't have a lot of affiliation straps and you have a specific target for them. But I would want a specific target, right? Also check your straps. You very likely have those affiliations if you save straps, to be honest. This random one is very tempting for the simple fact you can roll icons of WrestleMania. Probably won't, but it can. And then, of course, it's random class, so you'd have to get lucky twice over. You got all the classes to deal with and all of the eras to deal with, so you're probably not going to roll it, but it would be tempting just because icon affiliation straps are so very valuable. So I do kind of like that strap. That's my favorite strap in there. The rest, eh. So Boss Man, I don't use defensive trainers, right? I'm pretty sure this is a trainer, not a coach. Um, I receive 75% less damage for multiply gems at 35k. To me, this isn't worth taking up because there are the coaches that already reduce multiply damage, and if you're doing that, they already do enough. You don't need more. So uh, I guess I'm not really a fan of this. I'm glad they updated his entourage ability and stuff, but it's just not one I care about personally. Maybe you do. And if you do, and that's the sort of thing you like, then yeah, I mean, go ahead and grab it, right? It's just not for me, but I'm not saying it's bad. There's a lot of shards. A lot of shards. There's some very good shards, like Penta, for example. 200 for 16 is pretty good value, to be honest. I think of all the shards on here, though, so I don't really value the Cena one super high at 200 because he was a zero shard release, right? So if you don't have Cena, you're likely, what is it, 3,000 or 5,000 away? I don't know, whatever it is, same distance away I am. So these 200 for 29, kind of a drop in the bucket and sort of worthless, to be honest. The zero shard releases, I mean, you'd be committing, and I'm all for looking long term, but you'd be committing to buying these off of every prize wall for like 3 or 4 years, maybe 2 years. I don't know, maybe a year. Either way, at that point, he's probably outdated by the time you get in chasing his shards on prize wall. So until we get an event that gives out a ton of his shards, I think that's kind of a waste, to be honest. So with that being said, you look at the shards, and I think Dick Kick Cena is by far the best on here. As far as character, 300 shards for 25, not bad. That's a big chunk because he was a 3,000 shard recruit. That's like 1/10. So I think he's the best on there. Lyra's really good. Gunther's really good. Rex Regam's really good. Austin with moments and a Red Royal Rumble's pretty good. Goldberg, fantastic trainer. Trisha's really solid with the right stuff. Actually, you can use 2 moves and hit for 90 million with a big strap in a Red Royal Rumble, for example. So I think she's kind of underrated. Naya's pretty good, but again, she was a zero shard release, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you're likely tons and tons and tons of shards away from her. These are cheap though, at 8, but still same kind of scenario. Bam Bam's whatever. Bronson Reed, not very good. Becky's terrible, but it's a big chunk and cheap, so I get chasing her. Sammy's not good. Again, a big chunk, super cheap, so I get it. Sheamus is very outdated. Yes, people can make him work in feud at the moment, I know, but he's not going to be your best showboat, even if you can make him work. Like, you have faster, better stuff, almost for sure. But I get recruiting him, but trainer-wise, I don't think any of these are super impactful trainer-wise, to be honest. I can't remember the last time I equipped them. BPP is by far probably the best trainer in Goldberg on here. Those two. Goldberg for the extra Juggernaut gem is huge. BPP is 2 green and 50% gem damage, which is super useful. So those would probably be the two. If I was somewhat close, I would want to get really close on. But as far as fighter, I like Cena. People have to be starting to get somewhat close to Rex Regum, so I get wanting to get that. Gunther can be very, very strong. That's a nice chunk of shards. I love Bliss, so if you miss Bliss, I mean, you might want to look into that. The Tiffy plate, if you get to 30, if you don't have a timeless style plate, I think you should snag it, right? Whenever you activate a purple move, increase your blue gem damage by 250% for a turn. It's really good. You can use it on people like New Gen Acro Seth, Legendary Rhea hits really hard with that. So like if you lack like Sherry and a lot of really nice stuff, but you can get this, it'll make your Rhea hit really, really hard. It's really good on Tiffany herself. Changes kind of the way you play her, to be honest. It actually really does. I'm trying to think. There's a bunch of people you can use it on. So anyone, you know, purple moves and using blue gems. So that gets used for me. On a couple different people. Valkyrie Crest Showdown Store, 250,000 currency. So don't love it because you can get it on the Showdown Store, but it is a somewhat useful plate. I did a video with it on Striker Live, for example. And if you don't want to wait for the Showdown currency, 14 is not a bad price, right? Considering people are going to be paying 7 for 7 loot pulls, and you double that and you actually get something useful. I hate the loot pulls. I think you're most of the time you're just going to get straight garbage. I think it's a trap. I also don't like econ because it's temporary, so I don't really care for any of this stuff. To be honest, if that's what you spend if you have stuff left over, right? This stuff. Gremlin's Ears, you have it. It's in the armory contest this month. It's not worth the 5 to me. It's been given away. So there's that, right? So I think like I look at this and it of course is dependent on your roster. I have everybody except for HLE Cena. I think I'm like 2,000 shards away, right? So 400 is not a huge amount for a very expensive amount, but it does move the needle at the same time. So I'm missing him and Cena off of the shards and Penta. Penta I'm like 500 away from. And to be honest with you guys, Penta, while he's fun to play, doesn't do anything for my roster. He's not a boss battle character at all, so I'm never going to ever use him in feud. If I want to use somebody slow, I'll use Muda because I like Muda more and he hits harder, significantly harder, right? So, Cena is his strength was his utility, right? Like I have better showboats certainly, but his strength was his utility, how many different things he could do, and he was fun that way. So there's that. Penta was fun with move animations. So when I look at it, those are the first two things that jump out at me. Like I said, this is throwaway, couldn't care less, but that's because those are the two things I'm missing, right? And then Tiffy plate, I have 2. I wouldn't mind a 3rd. Valkyrie, like, so those 3 things jumped out. And then the affiliation strap. That's what jumped out initially to me, right? So like those are likely things I would target, and depending on where I get, like no for me, maybe, because those are the 2 I'm missing, right? So it just depends how many tokens I get to and where I feel the value is at that time. Maybe the affiliation strap gamble, and then I'd also be interested in potentially picking up one of these if I get there, right? So I think you need to look at this prize wall though in general, where you're at, right? Like who are you close to, what makes a difference, trainer or coach wise, right? Like, so this bottom row probably doesn't make a difference. I get wanting to recruit him, but it honestly probably doesn't make a difference. Middle row, I think Bliss can do the most with least and do a lot with a lot, right? Like you can make Bam Bam work, sure. You like Power Gem, sure. Brutus is a better Power Gem version of Bam Bam and he's free, so Bronson Reed is simply power crept, like his kits just aren't going to work. Um, and I don't think I use this trainer on anyone or have, so there's that. Love BPP's training ability. It gets used for me all the time. So if you're getting close, sure. Sammy's power crap, he can still hit hard, but it's random. That's what I mean by power crap. Naya's ridiculous. Absolutely. Trish is very good. Goldberg, insanely useful coach if you're using Juggernaut people that don't do areas. Liv Morgan, you can check out my Liv video. She can consistently hit for 100 million with 2 moves with the perfect setup. It's the only setup I like. Lyra's really, really good. A lot of different ways to run her, a lot of different plates, including the Tiffy plate you can put on her and hit super hard, right? So, Gunther, game changer for a lot of rosters. Rex Regum as well. Dick Kick Cena, absolutely. Penta, I don't think so much, but if you don't have like Jacob or Muda, then I think maybe you look for Penta. If you got Jacob, really there's no reason to look towards Penta, to be honest, unless you're a Mark or want the move animations. Jacob's also a better coach or trainer for sure. Austin, there's so many good powerhouses. This isn't someone you need, but if you're an Austin Mark, sure. And like I said, HLA Cena, he's not the best. He's just super, super versatile, and to me that makes him fun. Kind of throwaway. I mean, you don't need it. You have the coaches, so why do you need the trainer? Which is a harder thing to fit anyway. And the coach is already doing enough that it's whatever. And then possibly the affiliation straps, but none of the rest of them. So that's kind of how I look at it. That's kind of how I rate it. I don't know your roster, so you kind of need to decide what works best for you with the tokens you get to, right? The nice thing about these ones that aren't really game changers or important is they're very cheap. So this is a good chance to recruit some of these. Becky for CSS is not a bad play, because she's kind of rare, so they like to sometimes, she is pretty rare, they like to use those a lot of times. This Sammy I don't think has hardly ever been used as CSS. Sheamus does sometimes get used, but not a lot. Bronson Reed's been used a fair amount. Bam Bam gets used occasionally too. Sammy does sometimes, and BPP does sometimes, so, you know. Trish has not been used a lot, actually. This Goldberg's almost never used. Liv Morgan obviously gets used. Gunther's been used a bunch. Lyra's been used a bunch. Rex doesn't get used that often, actually. And Austin has been used a fair amount, actually, to be honest. I think I remember using him quite frequently as CSS and things. So, yeah, so there's that. Personal value, if I was rating it, how good, the quantity, the price. I think as a fighter, it's easily Dick Kick Cena, 325 at a 3,000 shard recruit. Gets you really, that moves the needle. For sure. And Lyra, 10 for 200, who's a very, very good lady acro. So, like, if you don't have Indy, definitely Lyra. I really like that. And Gunther, this is a big chunk for 165, so that's not bad. 11 for 165 for somebody new and relevant and super hard hitting with the Yeet drip combo, for example. You can also run defensively, but I prefer offense. So yeah, I think in all there's a lot of shard options. I mean, like, I think the best thing about this prize wall is there's a lot of different levels, right? I think there's a lot of people that are going to be being able to find something useful if they get to the quantity of tokens. So that's kind of one of the things I like about prize walls. I think, if you don't have a huge roster, there's stuff you can get relatively cheap. If you have a medium roster, maybe you're getting really close to BPP. And if you got a big roster, maybe you haven't snagged Goldberg, Gunther, Rex yet. Maybe you missed one of the S chases. Penta's newer, like really new. So I think all in all, it's a pretty solid shard prize wall. The plates, it's really just the Tiffy plate or not. And if you got one, like a couple, one is usually this good. Two, I feel like, is usually the sweet spot for plates. So if you got like one, I wouldn't necessarily stress about a second. If you have two, I definitely wouldn't stress about a third if there's useful shards. So that's my take on the prize wall. Let me know what you think in the comments. Also, if there are things I can do better on these breakdowns, let me know. I'm back to doing them pretty much every single time now, so I want to look to improve them as much as possible for you guys. So other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and good luck out there. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share too, huh? That helps me out, you know? Click that like button, leave a comment, let me know what's good, you know?